Hi, I'm Brooklyne.
And I am Jamie. We are members of the Inclusion Ambassadors.
The Inclusion Ambassadors are a group of young people from across Scotland with additional support needs. We get together to talk about our support in school and we talk about what is good and what can be better.
Some members of the group have decided to make podcasts about the impact of our pupil and support systems.
We want to share why pupil support assistants are important to us and talk about the relationships we have with them. So welcome to Support Assistants Are Sound. The first episode is members of the Inclusion Ambassadors talking to each other. The other episodes are conversations between members of the group and their support from their school.
We hope you like them and that they help you in your work.
Hi, I'm Brooklyne. I'm 16 years old and I go to Duncan Secondary School. So in this episode of Some Support Assistants Are Sound, some members of the Inclusion Ambassadors are going to be talking to each other about why we think pupil support assistants are important. We have spoken about this in different meetings and all have things we think are really important. But firstly, can I ask everyone to introduce themselves?
Hi, I'm Tara MacDonald. I'm 17 years old and I go to the Wellbeing Support Service.
And I'm Chris. I'm 29 years old and I work at Children in Scotland, and I work with Brooklyne and Kara as part of the Inclusion Ambassadors project. So Brooklyne, Kara, as I said before we started, I've got a couple of questions about this that I wanted to ask you both. So Brooklyne, as you said, we've spoken about this a little bit before. But the first question is, why do you both think pupil support staff are important for young people with additional support needs? Kara, why do you think they're important?
Well, people with disabilities, it'll help them, like people in wheelchairs, it'll help them get around a big school easier, and get them in classes, and it'll just kind of help support them if they need help.
Yeah, so it can kind of help people get round school and stuff like that if they maybe struggle with that part of things.
Yeah, because it can get quite busy in a mainstream.
Yeah, and so would they only be able to help them with would that just be like about sort of physically helping people move, or how else could they help if the school felt busy?
Well, it could help with anxiety. Support people could help reduce people's anxiety, kind of put them like in a different room where it's kind of quieter for them, give them things that might reduce their anxiety.
Yeah, so they might know some of those things that help when somebody is feeling a little bit anxious or a little bit worried about stuff.
Yeah.
Brooklyne, what do you think? Why do you think that pupil support staff are important for young people with additional support needs?
Because some of us with additional support needs find it hard to focus in class and keep on task. So support assistants are there to make sure that we are actually paying attention and listening, and also giving us a little bit of support if we need help with reading, writing, and like Kara says, if we get a little bit anxious, they take us out. Sometimes take us out to class if we really need it.
What sort of things, Brooklyne, can they do to help with all of that? Like, what sort of things can they do to help with your learning? But also, how do they know what to do to calm you down or help you if you're feeling anxious?
Well, with the education part, they can scribe for you, they can read out, or they can explain it in like different ways. Because, like, for example, with Miss Edgar, during like history or biology, the teacher said something, she would like give me like 5 minutes and then she'll talk me through it in a simpler way. And with like dealing with anxiety and that, it depends what support system there is, because like some persons if it's like somebody you're like used to and like you work with a lot, they would know how to calm you down.
Yeah, that they get to know you quite well, and then they know what to do when maybe you are feeling stressed, or whether you're feeling anxious, or whether you don't understand stuff.
Yeah.
So that kind of leads into what is the second question that we'd kind of said we wanted to talk about in our podcast today, was about, well, what's different about working with a pupil support assistant then to a teacher? What's the difference? Brooklyne, what do you think?
The main difference is a teacher's there for like 30 to like 20 to 30 pupils, and a support assistant is there for just one or like a group of 5 or something. So the support assistants are more there for us than the teacher is. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely, Brooklyn. So what does that change, do you think? Why does the fact that they're there for maybe for you as an individual or for you as a or for a smaller group of people, what difference does that make?
We're actually paying attention.
So do you mean, what do you mean by that they're actually paying attention, Brooklyn?
Because if you put like people with like autism, ADHD, etc., in a room full of like people that doesn't have all that sort of stuff, we're the ones that most get distracted because like there's things to look at. Minds go wandering, but we have got a support system there. They keep us on task and they remind us that we're here to learn.
Okay, so they're able to work with you to make sure that you stay on task with stuff and that your mind maybe doesn't wander. And is that in part then because they don't have to focus necessarily on the whole class, but they can focus on a smaller group or on one person, so they've kind of got the time to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kara, what about you? What do you think is the difference between pupil support assistants and teachers?
I feel like teachers can only do so much for you because they've got like loads of students to like watch in the same class, but then a supporter has like very minimum they have to watch, so they can support you much more and they can do more to help you than a teacher can.
So that's kind of like, yeah, it's a kind of similar point to Brooklyne, isn't it? That people can, that they've kind of got that they're able to take that time to support you with your learning or with kind of staying focused in class. So I guess what's the difference then? I guess, see if you're in class and you've got the support that you would usually have and that you like to have, what's the difference between when you do have that and you don't have that, Brooklyne?
The main difference is that I struggle. It's hard not having a good support system there, especially in classes that I personally struggle in, like home ec and that. It's just hard to do it without a little bit of help.
And so they're kind of an important part then, Brooklyne, of helping you be able to take part in those classes.
Yeah.
If you then had to use, Brooklyne, Kara, if you had to use kind of, say, like 3 words to describe what a good pupil support assistant is, what words would you use to describe them, Kara, do you think?
Supportive.
Why would you choose supportive, do you think?
Because they kind of need to support you and understand you. Like, I feel like they kind of need to get to know you first and like try new things with you. And like, if something doesn't work, like they need to listen to you. So if something doesn't work, then they need to kind of keep trying things with you.
When you say when something doesn't work, what do you mean? What sort of things do you mean?
So like, if they try like giving you something to fidget with, if that doesn't work, then they need to be like, I feel like, understanding and try something different. So I think like understanding would be one word that I would describe them with.
Yeah, I think that's a really good word, Kara, because it's, yeah, they kind of need to understand that not everything's going to work first time, I guess, don't they? Understand that, yeah, that they might need to try different things. And I guess, what other thing, can you think of other things that they might need to be understanding of?
Well, that you might not open up first time. So like, if they ask you what's wrong and you don't tell them, that they kind of have to give it time before you open up and not to force you.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point as well, actually, Kara, that, yeah, you can, that sometimes we don't just want to tell people how we're feeling or what we're thinking straight away, do we? And that, yeah, that sometimes that can take time to develop. Brooklyne, what about you? What sort of words would you use to describe a good pupil support assistant? So Kara's said kind of like supportive and understanding, and I think described those really well. What would you use?
The 3 words I would use is patient, sound, and just understanding.
patient, sound, and understanding. So Kara's kind of told us a little bit about why understanding is important. Could you tell why do they need to be? Why would you say patient? And then I'm gonna get what do you mean by sound in this instance?
Right, patient. So
Brooklyn,
Oh,
not
God.
everybody. Brooklyn, not everybody listening is going to be as young and cool as me and know what sound means. So you're going to have to explain it to them.
I'm doing patient, alright. I think this person should be patient because like we're not gonna be able to do the work first time. It's gonna take time. It's gonna take effort to actually get us on task, especially me because like you know yourself, I go in fits of laughter. So it's like it's hard to think like stay consistent. So yeah, this person just need to be kind of patient with that and distractions.
So is that, Brooklyn, when you say they need to be patient, is that
Mhm.
like do you mean that they need to be patient in terms of how they like in terms of them explaining things to you, or do they need to
Yeah,
be patient in understanding like patient in understanding or accepting that actually sometimes maybe you will go into fits of laughter or maybe your mind will wander and so they need
yeah,
to work with that and then come back to your work? What do you mean?
yeah. Just give me a minute. Don't rush me. Just give me a minute to like get everything out and then I'll try and do my work.
And I guess, Brooklyn, actually, just whilst we're on that, what would be the impact? See if somebody was really impatient then with you, what could the effect of that be, do you think?
Oh, I'd end up arguing with them. Because like if you're not gonna give me the time to just calm down, then yeah, I'm just gonna get a wee bit mad.
Yeah. So I guess that kind of links, maybe doesn't it, as well to something, Carrie, you were saying about people needing to be understanding, because if you're not patient, and if you don't understand how people are going to react to stuff, then actually you might not have you might then lose out on chances to do work, I guess, because you've kind of broken things down and you've ended up mad and arguing about things. So I think those two sound like they're really, really important. Brooklyn, the other word you used there was sound. So when you say that, what do you mean by that?
So in general terms, sound means something's good or like something's nice. So like you like that person's sound. It was like they're a nice person. They're decent. They're good to talk to.
So why is that important then for pupil support assistant, that they're nice and they're decent and they're good to talk to?
Because you don't want to be working with somebody that isn't nice.
Yeah, that's very true, Brooklyn. That's a pretty good way of explaining that. I don't think any of us want to work with people that aren't nice. I think, Brooklyn, Kara, those are really, really good ways of describing what a good pupil support assistant would be. And then, so the last question I had is actually, it's probably the most complicated of the four that we were going to talk about, is if you could change anything about working with or the support that you get from pupil support assistants, what would it be? So that could both be about the way that people act, but I guess it could also be about how much you're able to see them, or whether you're able to have them for all the things that you want them for. Does that make sense as a question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Brooklyn, what do you think? What would you change if you could change one thing? You're the head teacher for the day.
I would actually get more support assistants because in my school there's like a small handful of them, and it's just hard to have a support assistant in like every class and that.
Mm-hmm. So that would be that there would be more support assistants available,
Yeah.
so that more people could have access to them when they need them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kara, what about you?
I think I kind of get all the support I need.
Uh-huh.
I think I would like to talk to them when I need to a bit more.
So do you mean, Kara, that maybe do you mean that rather than them coming in and helping you with your work, that actually you would be able to say, oh, I want to talk about something that's happened outside of school, or
Yeah,
why would you want that chance a bit more?
I would feel better that I could go to them when I needed to talk.
Yeah, I think so. You would just, when you just, it feels like when you would need them, you would be able to go grab them and say, oh, something, something's up. I would just quite like to have a chance to chat about it. And that maybe is a little bit different from I'm struggling with this question or something. Yeah, I think that's a really important one that we can have people to talk to. Yeah, so I think that's a really important one. Well, Brooklyne, Kara, thank you very much. I think I have reached the end of the questions that, as a group, we had come up with when we met in person for this episode. So I think we can call it time on another episode of Some Support Assistance as Sound. So what I'm going to ask everybody to do is just very quickly say bye, and then that is us for another episode. Bye. Thanks very much, Brooklyne. Thanks, Kara.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.